Hey boys, what's up? Today I'm going to give you some tips to help you win your first 12 win grand challenge. We are going to be using lavaloon guards. I think with the Valkyrie nerfing coming, which is, the league balances, all we know is that the Valkyrie is probably getting nerfed. The guards will most likely be back in the meta. Maybe the guards get nerfed, who knows, and nobody knows anymore. But this is the deck that I used, and I'm going to give you tips on because I think it's going to be a very solid deck. I will do a updated long 12 win long video when the balance changes officially hit, so that we know for sure what deck will be the best. But for right now, this is what we're sticking to. Let's jump into it. Today I have a wonderful heaping helping of matchups to show you. It's a bunch of giant graveyard, and there's also the giant graveyard. I mean, not the giant graveyard, the graveyard fireball arrows one. They're terrible matchups, but we beat them. And that tells me something about this deck, that it might be very good if it can beat, one of the most common matchups in the game. And honestly, one of the only matchups that's holding Lava back from being really dominant right now is that Giant Graveyard deck and the Skelly King Graveyard deck. However, it's going to be very tough to beat those matchups. And the big tip I can recommend for you is, other than incorporating, good gameplay and like learning stuff, you've got to play smart. You've got to play as much skill and as much, you just got to pay attention in the first 9 wins of the Grand Challenge, because you're going to need to have room for error. There could be some hideous matchup just waiting for you, and if you have 3 losses to spare going into 9 wins, you're going to be much better off. So make sure that you aren't just taking it, oh, it's whatever, it's the first 5 wins. If you're going to keep going after, you lose 5-1, you can face a really bad matchup. It's not guaranteed that you can outplay everything. So just make sure that you focus up and do your best. And now on to commentating on the replay. The best situation against Giant Graveyard is to try and get his arrows out of cycle, and that's what I tried to do here. But sadly, it wasn't the best situation, because he didn't actually go in with the Graveyard. He went with the Dark Prince here, and I had to counter it with the guards. Really not what I wanted to do. But we are still up 3 elixir actually, so I did go in with a lava here, and I'm gonna kind of let him have. If he's just gonna go in with a giant, I'll let him have it. But he decides not to, or maybe he does. Yeah, he decides to go with the queen first. So I'm definitely going loon here after seeing that queen. And I'm going Skelly Drags immediately, because I know that there's not a big way he can take them out unless he spends Arrow Zap. And if he spends Arrow Zap on my Skelly Dragons, I can defend his graveyard with guards. That's basically a strategy here. And as you can see, he goes with the arrows on the balloon with the lava pups. And so now we're just pretty much safe to go in with another push, because I know that my guards can stop a graveyard push, and he knows that as well. So he goes with the giant in the back, trying to get that cycle ready. And the cycle, actually, big props to Larry there for killing the queen. Big props. Anyways, as you can see, we go with the Skelly Dragons because I'm not really worried. He's gonna try and defend this. Actually, he spends too much time trying to defend this. He goes in with the graveyard, and it's just too late. It's too late. He spent too much time frolicking about with his skeleton armies and his minions. If you don't get the queen down with the minions, with the snowball, you're not stopping my lavaloon push. And so, really, I think that matchup just went perfectly well. And the main strategy that we tried to use there was to get his arrows, just make him use his arrows on something other than your guards, because then you know your lavaloon push can break through. The problem is if he goes with giant graveyard, opposite lane, and you're trying to tower trade, and it just never ends up working, because if he knows he can take that tower, then he can just feel free to spend all his cards on defense, and queen plus minions and snowball can stop it. But as you could see there, he could never go in with a giant graveyard push because we had the guards and he didn't have the arrows, because he used them for something else. Okay, next matchup here is against the Skelly King Graveyard deck that is very popular and very annoying. Very annoying. I hate facing it, but honestly, I can't tell you which one's better to face, the Giant Graveyard or Skelly King. I have to go with Giant Graveyard, just with the guards. It feels like Skelly King, it's a hideous creature that's really hard to stop, and I'm actually just gonna When do we start playing? Okay, that's when we start playing. Alright, so the Mega Minion in the back, because he went with Skelly King, or wait, let's see what happened here. Did he go first, or did I go first? I felt like, yeah, I went first, so he responds with Skelly King. And then we just go with the lava the same lane. Because I was feeling it. I was feeling it. Ideally, you don't go in with the lava there, but no tombstone. You know, there's not really a good other play, and I can't just sit there. Especially since I know skeleton dragons might be important if this is like a graveyard matchup. I can't sit there while the Skelly King crosses because I'm leaking. Plus, you know, a Skelly King fully, like a full Skeleton King push is just awful. Here, however, he does go with the Valkyrie instead of going with the arrows. I thought he would just go with the arrows there, but this guy got to be smart, because if he goes with the arrows on that play right there, then I can use guards and wrap up his giant graveyard. So there's really this whole underlying strategy. It's all about his arrows. All about his arrows. He's either going to take... Now, the good scenario there is he's either going to take big damage from our Skeleton Dragon's lava pups, or he can arrow them, and then I could just go in again because I'm at no risk of taking damage from a giant graveyard push, because I can counter giant graveyard for 6 elixir if he doesn't have the arrows. And as you can see, he goes with that right there, but we do have to sadly use the guards to wrap up his ability. Still not really a problem, because as you can see, he could go in with the graveyard, but this isn't giant graveyard. He doesn't have a Skelly King, so he really can't tank for his graveyard. As you can see, we go with the tombstone opposite lane to just try and protect our lane, so we can go in for a good full lava hound push. And sadly, the Inferno Dragon is just heating up back there, but we do take that tower anyways, even though, you know, that bad thing happens over there. But as you can see, I want to kind of explain why I did what I did here. We got, I think the graveyard animation's just weird on the replay. He hasn't actually put in the graveyard yet. But as you can see, here we go with the loon. And what I'm thinking is, if he wants to go in on offense, that's fine. We'll tower trade. I would love to face this deck in a one-on-one situation, full health to full health. And here we're going to attempt to defend it and get him to spend extra elixir. Because if he does that, he can't spend like a fireball and arrows on this over here. And now we tower trade officially. And I actually go with the zap here, which saves our tower. And I don't think he takes this tower. We could have gone to a one-on-one situation, but for some reason this idiot decides to not go with the fireball. And I think that's... Oh, I think it's because a fireball doesn't take. I didn't think of this at the time, but I think he needed one skeleton hit and a fireball. But he doesn't get it. He does not get it. Yeah, I don't think the fireball does enough damage there. Let me check, actually, real quick. How much does the fireball do at tournament standard? 207? Yeah, it didn't do enough. So, I mean, that was clutch there. And, I mean, playing the guards and the tombstone and the Mega Minion, we were able to do that. And that does two things. It has a chance of preventing him from taking the tower, and it also makes him spend elixir on offense. And we want him to spend more elixir on offense so that all they can afford to do on defense is an Inferno Dragon, and we tower trade, as you could see there. Now I'm going to give you guys a brief respite from the graveyard matchups. Don't worry, it's coming up next. Here we've got giant... I'm sorry, I got giant graveyard on my mind. Here we've got minor Wallbreakers. NATO Fireball, not a cakewalk. It's not a walk in the park. This matchup can be infuriating, especially if you start getting behind early. Because if you make like one wrong play early, he just starts milly-whopping you with like Valkyrie here, Miner here, Wallbreakers here, Spear Golems here. But you know, we were able to deal with it because I got a Tombstone down and I got a Lava down. And there's nothing he can do. Nothing he can do. Because here we just guards on that miner to stop the miner from getting damage. What that does is also stop the Valkyrie from getting damage. And now the scenario is looking great, because even if he stops our push, like the NATO to the King Tower, we're going to make that damage up with the lava chip here. And also we get a guard hit, which is wonderful. But basically, by defending that miner Valkyrie push, we're not losing just because he pulled our loon away. And he does get a Valkyrie hit, but we get that damage back on offense with the lava pups. And he has to play this here, and I'm just fine going with the tombstone because I know if he wants the pressure with Valkyrie, I can stop it with guards. I don't have to have the tombstone. And when I play the tombstone like that, there's a better chance that, based on how the game goes, I will have tombstone back again for his next Wallbreaker push. As you can see here, we use skeleton dragons because I don't feel like they're going to get much value in this matchup. And they were just the best defensive play there because I need the guards for the Valkyrie. When I say I don't think they're going to get enough value, what I mean by that is, like, he has fireball, so I don't really see what he's going to, how they're going to break through or get any damage. Maybe if I fireball bait, but it's really hard to bait against this deck because he has NATO bomb tower, fireball, marcher, so I mean it's pretty easy for him to kill them, even without fireball. And so as you can see, we pull it with the tombstone, and then we just go in with the balloon, I think, after we wrap up the spears. Or no, we don't. We just go in with the balloon, and then we fireball the magic archer. We ignored the spears because they didn't do too much, and I was pretty sure that the lava chip was going to bail me out here. And another, like, important tip, it happens in a lot more situations than you would think. If you're playing a game where, you know, he has a magic archer or wizard or ice wizard that you have to fireball, if by some chance, you know, you don't get around to fireballing one, don't fireball that one. So let's say he puts a magic archer down and it's up for like 15 seconds. Don't fireball that. Wait for him to play his next one and then fireball that, or else you're going to get stuck in an endless loop of, you know, I play fireball for his magic archer, he instantly puts down another one, and then by the time I get back to a fireball to kill that one, he gets another one down, stuff like that. So try and fireball them immediately or kill them some other way and fireball the one he puts down after, if you understand what I'm saying. Now this is the same deck, but it is on ladder because one of my replays got corrupted and I wanted 4 of them, but sadly we only got 3 of them, so I just went into another game on ladder and we faced Giant Graveyard again. Lovely. So your respite, your break from facing the cancerous, or having to watch the cancerous graveyard gameplay has ended. It has ended. However, I believe this one is shortened because the man does not play anything for a little while. There we go. Okay. So Snowball comes down at 1 minute 40 seconds, and I just respond with the lava. Is that the best play right there? Probably not. But I was feeling confident. I was feeling confident there. And he goes with the giant in front of that. Tricky scenario, but here we're just going to go back this up with Sky Dragons. Now, in hindsight, what I would have done is probably... No, now that I'm thinking about it, the Skeleton Dragons are necessary because if he had the Queen or Musketeer or anything, we're not going to get damage from the Loon. We're going to get damage from a couple Loon drops and then the Skelly Dragons because the Loon is tanked for the Skelly Dragons. The only issue here now is that there's a full health Giant Dark Prince on my tower. We do Mega Minion, however, and as you can see, we do take out his tower. However, we do take a lot of tower damage ourselves. Now, the only reason that I actually wanted to take that much damage was because I knew Double Elixir was right around the corner, and so I wasn't going to have to, you know, wait and play much defense. I was going to be able to handle his pushes much better because of Double Elixir. And now, as you can see, we wait for his, it's another arrows manipulation game. I'm going to wait for his arrows to come down, then we're going to Skelly Dragons, and then he can't stop our Skelly Dragons from killing the graveyard. And the whole goal here is to not lose our tower to the graveyard. That's just it. Do enough to not lose the tower. And then we have 2 Skeleton Dragons and 2 minions. And like 2 Mega Minions. And like, how are you going to stop this absolute onslaught? Like, even the Broken Archer Queen isn't going to stop double Mega Minions. And so as you can see, we do it again. If he wants to go to the arrows, it's going to take him a while. We're going to kill most of the skeletons first. And then as you can see, we just zap. And then we wrap it up. And actually we get the 3 crown on this bozo. And I do hit him with the BM. So if you guys enjoyed that video, please let me know. I hope you really did. I know I enjoy beating Giant Graveyard. And I promise the next video will not include as much Giant Graveyard gameplay. Peace.